We use a lot of terms to describe woodland. Plantations, copses, orchards, or street trees. Let's dig under those and ask, what is a woodland other than a term that we apply to it? We walk into a woodland and we see the trees before us. These grand, unique organisms. It's something much more complex than that. You could think of a woodland as this huge reservoir of water surrounding us. Every tree has thousands of litres of water sitting above our head. You could think of it as the complex ecology of fungi and insects underneath the soil. You could think of it as the complex soils itself and that rotting down of organic matter. We can look at a forest or a woodland almost as a single organism, and that organism, just like us as humans, lives and grows and dies. We just often don't see it because our timescales and our perception is so short term. We're just seeing a tiny snapshot in its history. We as humans tend to try and accelerate that change through our management of them, and actually perhaps in what we think of what a woodland is, we just ought to take a step back and take a slower journey. If we define a woodland as some very long-term living organism, then perhaps actually we ought to think more carefully about what our impacts are on it. When we think of what a woodland is, we ought to think about it as a community of all these symbiotic interactions. The insects are reliant on fallen leaves and on the fungi, and the trees are reliant on the fungi that connect them and allow them to take up nutrients into the soil, and the birds are reliant on the insects. In some ways, a forest is a much more complex community than any of our human communities. And what defines a woodland perhaps is that community spirit. One of the things we're asking in Tree Radicals is, what is your definition of a woodland?